So y'all, we're gonna get started in a few, y'all. Because my brother Joseph is on his way, I definitely want to try to get the energy right. That's why I went over and messed my hand up again.
Mama Mary, you can come up on the front row. Mama Mary, come up on the front row so you don't have to get your knees in there.
You still got the original for that thing you gave me for Food Smart. We did over. Does that drop it off?
Hey, what's up,
You can check me.
I put up my Facebook page program.
Okay, when, was it a couple months ago, right?
No. This is a couple things.
Okay, then.
There's a yellow thing and orange.
I can't remember, it was one of those colors. Don't worry, I can make another one if it's not there. Okay. Just let me know, I'll just go to the Market Center.
How much is that for?
Oh, shucks, it was a lot. Because it was,
50, 20?
it was more than that.
We're on 64 gig.
I had to look again.
I got a couple of times.
Well, the thing is, it's the speed that's a problem. And also, if the chips, if they use low quality chips, what's going to happen is going to heat up too fast. And so that's why it's possible over on Amazon.
Okay.
I'm Rob.
I'll let you know something.
Yes, but don't call me Rob. Yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right. I know you look familiar. Yeah, it's in a couple of our things. Yes, now I remember, now I remember. Nice to see you again, man.
Hey, sing.
Nice to see you still strong. Yeah. That's awesome, that's great.
So you want to call me a little bit with this? I would move it because it's going to end up blocking that now back here. Yeah, I know. No, you just leave everything right there. No, you couldn't see. You couldn't see.
No, I don't need the chairs. And I don't even need.
No, that's not the chairs on me. She's not sitting. I'm sitting. I go. I go. I go. Welcome everybody. And late in starting on time. We wanted to try to get started on time so that we can leave on time. A lot of people got different schedules for Saturday, as usual. That's why we're streaming this. So, Haru, are you ready? I'm ready to cue.
Wait a minute, hold on.
We'll get going. All right, as soon as you give me the cue, we'll start. And I thank everybody for coming out. For those that don't know, we just completed a high executive council meeting here at Sankofa Books. And what you're here today for is a call out to the community and an update to the community on what is going on. We haven't started, Bobby Moses. It's on? Okay. Woo! Welcome everybody.
Progress.
Greetings everybody that's online. And we're going to get started with the program, and I'm going to do an official opening, kind of summarize the opening a little bit for time's sake. I want to thank all of y'all for being here. I want to thank the Shaw Community Center, Brother Gabriel, and all the youth that are here. I got here a little early, and I looked out and saw the garden, and I was sold on the garden. I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot of good energy that's happening here. We're happy to be here. So I'm going to do a quick official opening, and we're going to get started with libation. So I do ask everybody that can stand to stand while we do the pledge to the flag. Those that know it can also join in. So this is the official UNIA pledge to the flag. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail until all black people are free and united through one God, one aim, one destiny. So it is important that I do share the preamble with you. And of course, I'm going to put some electricity that you can sit down. I'm going to put a little electricity in it. The Universal Negro Improvement Association of African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the African Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all women and mankind, believing always in the sisterhood and brotherhood of woman and man and the motherhood and fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that the strong, oppressed, and weak, confusion, and discontent will ever walk the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all the realm of peace and plenty will be hurled into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. Not by might, nor by power, but by the Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts, God of the right hand. That is fight be with us, that you will break down the barriers and might be ready to pull. Stand with us in the times of the struggles of the right, and spread confusion, never order, arrogance, and might. And let them know that might is only selfishness, and cannot or not win. Endow us, Lord, with faith and grace, and courage to endure. The wrongs we suffer here, face and bless us evermore. Come on, I heard you. I heard y'all.
You're so fast. You're so fast.
Anyway. One God, one aim, one destiny. So I'm going to turn this over to Mama Tendai, who is the Minister of Education of the UNIA-ACL Rehabilitating Committee 2020, and she's going to bless us with libation.
I want to first acknowledge the fact that we pour libation. It is not a religious thing. It is cultural. So it is a way in which our African ancestors and our people on the continent and throughout the African world acknowledge our ancestors and those energies that are the creative energies of the universe. So as I pour this libation and I ask you to join in, it is a way of affirming your relationship with the universe, acknowledging that everything that exists within your body exists within the universe. There's not a mineral that exists in the universe that you don't already possess in your body. So we look at, when we talk about one God, we're talking about the fact that regardless of what spiritual system you may follow, whatever religious system you follow, religion is man-made. And so we're saying it doesn't make any difference what religion or non-religion that you follow, we are one. And we want to make sure that the God who the Muslims pray to, who the Baha'i may honor, are the same gods that the Christian honors. It's one God, many faiths, and many ways of dealing with that God. So as I pour libation, and I'm pouring it with water because we're 70% water as human beings, And water is what we look at as the primal energy out of which all things grew and came into existence and being, as you follow the Kemetic system when they explain to you how the universe was created. So I pay homage first to Mother Earth and Father Sky, because in the African system, we are always looking for balance. And the way that there is balance is there is a principle of a male principle and a female principle. It is the unity of opposites. And so I say, I guess I can give this to you. Omi tutu, ile tutu, omi tutu. So I'm saying I'm pouring with water. I'm speaking in Yoruba, but I'm going to do this libation in English so that you all will be able to travel along with me. So as I pour libation honoring the four corners of the universe and all the energy sources that come from those sources. I pay homage to all of the spiritual energies that the Yoruba call Orisha, who maintain balance and harmony in the universe. They are the earth, the sky, the water, the wind, the sun, and all the concepts that help us to have a universe. If we didn't have a concept of right and wrong, there would be no balance and harmony. So I call upon all of those concepts and saying, God, you created these, so I'm honoring them as we start our program. And then I'm asking that if we have honored them and we call their energies in, I'm asking them to be benevolent. So what am I saying? I don't want to see any tornadoes, no hurricanes, nothing that is destructive that will come into our existence, at least while we're having this program, and for all of you who are gathered here. And so, as though I have not called them by name, I have called them by their purpose. And so now I ask you to join in, and we are going to call some of our historical ancestors and ask that their energies, because we believe as African people that death is only a transition. Okay? It is only a form of life, just like as you came into birth. And so, just like when you turn on a light, electricity exists. You turn on the light and the light has life. You turn out the light, the electricity is still there. So that's the way we see life and death. So that the spiritual energy remains even when the human body decays. So we're going to ask those spiritual energies that have transpired before we came, all of our ancestors, and I know you all, young people especially, have someone who is near and dear to your heart that may have transitioned or made this path into death. We want to call their energies and their spirit, because we not only are calling to pray, to ask for them to be healed, but we're calling their energies to come forth to give us energy so that we can continue on not only with living, but for planning and trying to make a better world for African people all over the world. So I ask you to call those names, and I start off with the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garfield.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Ashe.
Mary Silvers.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Francis
Irving Bell.
Dr. Shashi McIntyre.
Marion Thompson.
Brother Menoki Rashidi. Ashe. And now I ask you to call your personal ancestors who have transitioned, but who have had an impression in your life. May all of those ancestors, may all of those energies join us today as we discuss how this organization is going to move forward. We invoke and we ask you to participate in that. And when we say young people, Ashe means and so be it, so let it be. So we say Ashe after something, we're saying so be it, let it come into existence. And so now my prayer is that we not see anything. The Yorubas don't believe in one devil. They believe in anything that is the opposite of good is a negative. Anything that is a negative energy is a devil. So I'm saying, let us not see any of those negative energies, including illness, poverty, lack of education, confusion. Let all of those things go. Let us not see death, our mother, or death, our father. And as I say, I pray that we go forth, that each and every person who is assembled here will gain something from the program that we have today that will help to enlighten their lives and help to give them energy and encouragement to continue to go forward for the liberation of African people worldwide.
All right. We're going to move right along, and not quite yet, Joseph, but right after this next person, and then we're going to get some energy going inside of that. But I want to thank you, Mama Tendai, and I want to welcome everybody who's here once again, and also indicate to you that we're moving right along, and we're going to catch up with time on the program. But be very clear, especially you all out there in cyberspace that's listening, is that we are very serious about one Africa. One Africa. So not only one God, one aim, and one destiny, but one Africa. That you're going to hear a lot about that today. So without any further ado, I'm going to call a message builder, organizer, one of the students. Well, he was a student now, he's actually a graduate of the course of African philosophy, and he belongs to the Marcus Garvey Institute, but most people know him as Sam P.K. Collins. And because Sam is always doing great journalistic work, he has to come on early today so he can go take care of some things, business is going on in Ward 8. So without any further ado, Brother Sam is going to come, and he's going to also, even though he's an active member of UNIA-ACL Rehabilitating 2020, he's also a youth, the international youth representative of the Pan-African Federalist Movement. But he's going to explain to you some of the things that's going on and coming up and how we are working to address youth activism and service. Sam.
Permission to speak from the elders?
Permission, yes.
All right, give thanks. First, I want to acknowledge UNIA-ACL RC 2020. I want to acknowledge all the Garveyites in the building, all the elders, and especially the young people. I see the adolescents here. I think it's a very beautiful thing. Like, let's give them a hand first of all. I think it's very important more than anything that we acknowledge the young people. And that we do our all to pour into the young people, because right now what we are lacking is a transfer in knowledge and a transfer in customs, attitude, tradition that preserve the African family. And government, the first government is the family. And what happened between the end of the civil rights movement and the current day was that we lost sight of that. And we began putting our trust in colonizing governments. Governments such as the United States, such as the Congressional Black Caucus, and such as the governments on the African continent and in the Caribbean who have an invisible white hand over them. So even as you have leaders, so-called leaders who share our skin, who share our history, they are being controlled by this invisible white hand, which is in fact multinational corporations, NATO, and other powers that are not African indeed. So we are in a juncture in our history where we are pitted against globalism versus nationalism. And the principles of universal African nationalism have been lost, and we are integrated into a society that is on its way to destruction. So the question that we have before us is, how do we protect ourselves against that, and how do we ensure that our young people can live in a society where African principles are sustained and in which we are protecting ourselves? And the answer to that question lies in what I like to call Pan-African federalism. Pan-African federalism, it is a concept that goes all the way back to Garveyism. So if you go to 1920 at the Madison Square Garden during the UNIA convention, Marcus Messiah Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, was voted as the provisional president of Africa. Of the African diaspora, as a matter of fact. And if you want to give context, 1920, we were experiencing Jim Crow on this side, in the Caribbean, the British and other European powers had that part under siege, and the African continent, other than Ethiopia and Liberia, and I don't even like saying Liberia because we know what happened to Liberia, but you know, Liberia, the first neo-colony, so let's keep it exactly, you know, so, you know, just to keep it in context, you know, so that lineage of Pan-African federalism goes all the way back to Marcus Messiah Garvey and his designation as the first provisional president of Mama Africa. So with Pan-African federalism, the concept is that we have one united African states. People like talking about unity. Hey, we gotta unify, we gotta come together. But how does unification look? How do we organize as a people to form our own government? The fact remains is that we have various organizations in our community and around the world that are doing the works of African people. But how do we come together to make sure that we function as one? Pan-African federalism is the final frontier in that movement, and the Pan-African federalist movement is a campaign. It's not an organization. Let's make it very clear. It's a campaign. A campaign is something that ceases to end when the mission is done. So with the Pan-African Federalist movement, we don't intend to stay around forever. We dissolve once the United African States is realized. And the United African States, once again, is the full realization of Marcus Messiah Garvey's dream or vision of a united African diaspora. And if you want to go further than that, you look at Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah of modern-day Ghana, the first prime minister, the Baba who wanted a united Africa. He looked to Garvey for inspiration, and he was the one who attempted to talk to other African leaders about a united Africa, but those leaders did not want a united Africa, because by united Africa, that would make them powerless. So with all of this talk, and I'm talking to the young people in particular, when you hear all this talk about, oh, Africans over there don't like us, why aren't we united, Africa isn't doing anything for us, you are not in fact talking about everyday Africans. You are talking about African leaders who have no interest in uniting Africa. African leadership and the African people in the grassroots are two different people, and this goes back to my original point about who the true government is. We have to get it out of our minds that these presidents, these prime ministers, these heads of states, and even the African Union are true representations of government. The government is the people. And so in recognizing that, we gotta create a grassroots movement that comes from the bottom up and not only educating the masses, but organizing the masses around African unity. That is what Pan-African federalism is. Inciting and encouraging a demand among the grassroots that we have to unify as a people functionally in order to create a united African society. And Pan-African federalism dictates and it requires that African leadership give up a portion of their sovereignty to create a united African states. So there would be one African government. These African countries would in fact become African states that are beholden to that one African government. The United States, Canada, and wherever else African people are will become part of that one government. Through one government, there will be one passport, one African citizenship. There will be opportunity for reparations, for land, all that we have talked about. That is why we call it the final frontier of our struggle for self-determination, because by way of the United African States, we would all be united on all fronts to get everything that we need. Can I get an ashe? But only say ashe if you truly understand what I mean, because we are talking about a fight for sovereignty on all fronts. And when you talk about federalism, what country comes to mind when you talk about federalism in a modern sense? What country comes to mind?
This country here, United
Exactly, the United States. So whenever you talk about federalism, people talk about the United States and they're like, oh, well, no, that's a Yoruba government. We don't want to follow that. But the fact is that the United States was not the first federalist government. Everything that the United States did, they copied from indigenous and African people. Because indigenous Americans had a federalist government. Okay, they had confederations here. They had a federalist government in modern-day Nigeria, the Igbo Confederacy. The Ashanti people is a confederation. Kemet is comprised of different, what they call nodes, that are part of a confederacy, okay, or a federation. A federation being different states that share a common government. And that common government putting everybody on one accord to do two things: to create a common government and keep outside forces out. Because what happened when Africa didn't unite? Kwame Nkrumah got exiled, Patrice Lumumba got killed, Haile Selassie got disposed, William Tolbert, the Liberian president who was turning toward Russia and China and was the Liberian president that stood against the Zionists, he got pushed out by the CIA by way of saying, okay, go, okay? So we're talking about a situation in which Africa was not able to protect itself because there were greedy leaders who only saw themselves. They saw themselves as Nigerians, as Liberians, as Moroccans first, rather than a united Africa. And then we can't keep doing it. We cannot be confined to the borders that the European public imposed on us. So once again, it's about unifying and keeping our outside influences. And it's about consolidating control. And most importantly, it's about agreeing upon the customs, attitudes, and traditions that young people have to learn. And this brings me to my final point. As a young adult leader in the Pan-African Federalist movement, it is my job to organize young people. And we are doing that in a lot of ways. We have an 18-week curriculum in which young people get to come on and learn about Pan-African federalism. They get to learn about organizing, right? Later on, my good sister will talk more about what the UNIA is doing, of course. But, you know, as far as the PAFM and the UNIA are locked in together by way of Baba Senghor. And that itself speaks to the power of cooperation and unity that we always have to practice, because we are all doing similar things, but we can all come together and organize for the better good. So as far as young people, we are talking about young adults between the ages of 18 and 35, going on to 40, young people who should be grooming for leadership or already be in leadership. Because right now, it is incumbent upon the elders to only serve as advisors, counsel. You know, Malcolm X was in his 30s when he was assassinated. So was Martin Luther King Jr. Fred Hampton was 19 years old. You know, so leadership, you know, right now we're primed for it. There's no way around it. So it's incumbent upon us to, you know, talk to young people and to really put them in a position to be leaders. And that is what we are attempting to do here through this campaign. Position young people to be leaders and to come and organize around the United African States. This campaign is in existence in Banneker City, Tubman City, New York City, Gainesville, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, some parts of West Africa. We got some sisters doing their thing in Kenya. We're working on the Caribbean right now, but we're doing it little by little, and we're doing it scientifically. You can't just come on just because you're a Pan-Africanist. What does it mean to be a Pan-Africanist? What have you learned about what Pan-Africanism is? Do you know universal African nationalism versus Pan-Africanism? How was that transition? Do you know about the first through sixth Pan-African Congress? These are things that we gotta instill in our young people so that they understand what is going on and they're not just coming in off of what they learn from social media. Because social media only gives you a very surface level understanding. So I say all of that just to wrap up and close it, that we have to work for United African States, and we got to put our young people at the forefront of that. And once again, in working toward the United African States, we are fulfilling the principles of Garveyism, because Garvey created the Universal Negro Improvement Association, not only inspired by Booker T. Washington, but inspired by what he saw in Costa Rica, over there by the canal, and wherever else he traveled. And he saw the common conditions that we face as a people. So it's time for us to do two things: consolidate our power and keep out external forces that are balkanizing us little by little. So, you know, I say all of that to say that we're looking for young people. If you know of any young person, 18 to 40, bring them our way. Bring them to the UNIA. Bring them to the PAFM. There should be more young people in here. And, you know, that's where I'm at with it. Asante Sana, many thanks for your time.
know, one of the things Sam said, it's not about me or she, it's about we collectivity.
Yeah.
So the PAFM, even though I work with the PAFM on an international level with Brother Jumai, and I just want to congratulate his nephew, he just got elected as the president of Senegal. But what I'm saying is, the UNIA Rehabilitating Committee is serious about establishing what we call Mahat agreements with anybody working to try to change things that exist out here already. And it starts with the truth, who are our youth. So you're going to be hearing a lot about that today. So without any further ado, we want to give you a little bit of electricity because my good brother Joseph Ingwa, master drummer, and I'm going to give him a little energy too. And then you can also, by clapping your hands, stomp your feet, or you can feel it in your heart because the drum and the heart are one. Without any further ado, Joseph Ingwa.
When you fight, you move. You don't sit on your laurels and say you're fighting. Kicking, screaming.
So, thank you, y'all. That's it. Y'all heard that electricity, right? Well, listen, the drum is the heart of one. I want to thank you, Brother Joseph. And I'm going to tell you a short story. And I know y'all, I got the mic. It's a short story. This brother started drumming at a UNIA event at Banneker with me and Brother Jackson Bay. He never touched the drum. He was drumming on a desk at that time. But the spirit of the ancestors grabbed him up and said, you got to be a master drummer now. So many years later.
You're still here, Baba Sengo.
Okay.
We were there from the beginning and we're still here and we're going to continue.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph. He ain't gone. He's going to be around. We might get some more lectures. But without any further ado, and by the way, we are moving in time. We're in time. You know, people might say we were behind. We're in time. You know why? This word. Africans need to rise back up to our traditional greatness. Without any further ado, I'm going to call my good brother, not only the Minister of Information of the UNIA, but the President of the Woodson Banneker Jackson Bay Division 313 of the UNIA-ACL Rehabilitating Committee 2020, Bobby Mosley, and also with the National Council of Elders in Washington, D.C. Bobby Mosley.
It's so good to see you folks here, especially the young people. You know, I'm here to welcome you to this mass meeting. The UNIA-ACL Action 2020, Division 330, the Woodson Banneker Jackson Bay Division 330, right here in Washington, D.C. And we are covering the entire Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And like some, I think it was Sam that said, calling on young people to come on over. I'm here to ask you, or to tell you, you're welcome not only here, but you are welcome to join us. And I've got some stuff here, some paper that you can, just put your name, address, etc. and so forth. You can join us today. Now, there's, when we talk about a member of the UNIA-ACL, all African people are members of the UNIA-ACL. However, to be an active member, very active, to have your power to vote, etc., there's a small contribution that you have to make towards dues. All right? So you have to join, you have to pay your dues, and you will be a good member. Sorry about that. I'm saying, your phone is talking. Yeah. And anyway, I am here to welcome you and to hope that I'll see you in the UNIA-ACL as mentors. We expect a lot more people to come through because we've been sending out messages. We also had flyers, and we promoted on radio, etc. And so that, we want people to understand that the UNIA is alive.
Yes.
A lot of people are not hearing about the UNIA. It's alive. And we are an example of that. And we want to make this thing thrive, not just for now, but the future. And we would like to have young people with us because you're the future leaders.
Future leaders, right?
So if we don't have young people coming in to work with us, what's Garvey's dream of a united Africa without young African people? Well, the African continent, I think it's been said lately that they have the youngest population in the world.
Yes, they do. Yes.
So you see, you have to come and join with us. We need to join with those young people in Africa because they need to have a role with the whole diaspora. Because it's necessary that the diaspora come together to stop what's going on now. It's a minority that rules the world today.
Minority, right. That's true.
And people of color are the majority.
Majority in the world, yes.
This represents people of color, African people.
Oh, yes, black people.
This red, black, and green.
Red, black people.
Now we have this flag on this side. Some of you may think it's the Puerto Rican flag, or you may think it's the Cuban flag. But it's the flag of the West Papua people.
Yes.
And where the West Papua people are, they are in the Pacific Islands. The Pacific Island of Papua and the other islands that surround it. And they are struggling right now for their freedom because they were invaded by the Indonesian military who occupy West Papua at this moment. And they are struggling. And we are, in the UNIA, we are promoting respect for those people. And we are promoting, you should understand that they're part of us. They are black people. Thousands of years ago, they went to West Papua from Africa, and they know it, and they'll tell you that. They are children of Africa. So we want to join with those people in unity for one Africa. Can we say that? One Africa. So I don't want to be too long because you know, a lot of what's been said before is what we need to hear. Especially I thank Brother Sam for what he had said. Yes. You know, it is a good thing. You know, a young person can come up and say the things he said.
Yes, yes.
And wish us well and hope that we will be together in the future. You know, when we're gone, we need to have leaders, like I said earlier. We need to have leaders and we need to build our unity. We need to build up not just our organization, but we need to build our universal government.
Yes, yes.
So, we are asking you here today to join us in the struggle towards true African freedom. Okay, I'll end here. I'll come back later. But right now, it's good enough for me to say, one God, one aim, one destiny, one Africa.
All right, let's see if everybody knows you. So actually, like I said, we're in time now. We are catching up and moving right along because a couple of people have indicated that they do not have to rush to do their things and they get out of here. So we're going to move forward. But I'm going to bring, first of all, let me acknowledge the President General, Keely Nkrumah. And we also acknowledge our second Assistant President General, Dr. Chinzara Kahini, who is now at the United Nations right now, and then also our international organizer, Professor David Horn. You can give it a hand. Like I said, it's fine. And I'm going to be bringing up the Minister of Education, and her and I are going to not only share some words and upliftment about what is going on with us and how we're moving forward, but we're going to represent the international organizer and the second Assistant President General. I happen to serve as the first Assistant President General, and I'm a humble servant. But before I go any further, I also am a poet. And I was on the program as a poet. And so I got to squeeze mine in where I can get it in. So you're going to hear, y'all heard the word electricity. Well, this was something that was written back in, I think, 1979, maybe 77, something like that. And I have upgraded it, but I'm going to read it sort of like it was then, because it doesn't belong to me. And the people on the continent, particularly our division in Accra, they pushed electricity. So for the young people that are here, let me be clear. As Murray Barney said, let the circle be unbroken. Well, from the Most High, Mother, Father, God, to the ancestors and the Orishas and the ocean and all that energy, then to us, the elders, and then to everybody else. All of that's supposed to be connected. And as Mama Tendai so clearly said, we don't die.
Right.
We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. But Blacktricity tree. Hey, blood, can't you feel that Blacktricity that flows within you and me? It should be hard for you to see that all our people ain't free. Although Blacktricity flows within you and me, still many of our people can't see and understand the importance of a unified frequency. Hey, blood, can't you understand why Blacktricity flows with you and me? We are just a part of the Blacktricity tree. We must encourage our people to see that in order for us to really be free, we must all unify our Blacktricity. Hey, blood, let's take the first step and start to build our Blacktricity tree. Electricity produces light. Blacktricity produces light. Electricity is used to light bulbs. Blacktricity can be used and expressed by a mere hug. Blacktricity is supplied by the nearest, electricity is supplied by the nearest plug, but Blacktricity can be supplied in a mere hug. Electricity is turned on and off. Blacktricity has been turned down too soft. Electricity travels through wires and humans. However, Blacktricity only travels through all living beings. Now let's get everyone building our Blacktricity frequency. Can't you feel the Blacktricity? It's not about me, he, or she, and certainly not individuality. It is time to build our collective Blacktricity.
Yes.
Now again, many come to that understand the Blacktricity a lot of different ways, but we understand out of the darkness comes the light, right? There is no light without darkness. Dr. Bennett told us to check the moon out. Honorable Charles L. James said, look up at the sky. Those stars that are up there are just like you. But without any further ado, Mama Tendai, please come forward to Pastor Education. For the UNIA, let her start. I'm going to assist, and we're going to make sure that people are clear. Mama Chandra and Dr. Horn are here in the spirit. But Mama Tendai and myself work with those names and others, the Education Committee, you're here. Why? We consider ourselves a committee of the government.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's instructive for us to explain ourselves. This particular UNIA-ACL RC 2020 is a rehabilitating committee. It's only 4 years old, but in the 4 years that this particular UNIA has been in existence, we have understood the importance, as we keep talking about, in terms of unity and basically trying to reclaim what Marcus Messiah Garvey's idea and his philosophy was for people of African descent. Now, when I ask you young people, why do we say that we are Africans? Answer me. Why do I say you are an African? Tell me.
We are from.
Not just because of your color.
No, from Africa.
Where are you from? Where are your ancestors from?
From Africa. From Africa.
Who are the first people on the earth?
Africans.
So everything that exists came from us. Okay, we have to claim it and reclaim it. In the position that I have been asked or appointed by the President General to assume, I tell them I have a problem becoming Minister of Education. I'm just a servant who is willing to come in and try to continue to do the work that I have done all my life, which is to unify African people across the world. And this particular UNIA, as he had mentioned, we have an international contingency. And so we have organizations that are part of us that are in West Africa and East Africa and in the Caribbean. And we have a sister who is responsible for not just the Caribbean, but for Central and South America as well. And she is the one that he has made reference to that is currently at the United Nations. Now why? Because the UN has gathered. They're considering whether or not they are going to have a second decade that is dedicated to people of African descent. And we wanted to make sure that we were there to say, these are our things that we are most concerned about. And as a group of nations across the world, we need you to understand that the UNIA is not an organization, but a government. And as a government, we will develop what a government needs and is able to do. We also want you to understand that we are making a stand for our youth, for our children, and for our people across the world. And here are our concerns that we want the nations of the world to take into consideration. So she is there doing that. We are also a member, even though we are talking about it's not a good thing, we are a member, we are the sixth region for the African Union. So we have a person who is assigned to work with them as well, to make our demands. When we talk about a rehabilitating committee, what we're saying is that as a people, you already know, we go off board. Okay, we're together, and then all of a sudden we have a fight and everybody falls out. Okay, and things don't occur the way they're supposed to, and then there is time in between in which nothing happens. And so, as a rehabilitating committee, we're trying to reconstruct what it is that Marcus Garvey had originally done. You all familiar with Marcus Garvey?
Yeah.
Young people. Do you know that in his time, even though the brother talked about the 1920s, what was going on then? Lynchings, all the kinds of things that you know, we're confronting, but even worse. He had a convention in which 20,000 people came. You hear me?
Yes.
The UNIA owned laundromats. They owned a shipping company. They had a nursing committee. They had the Black Star Line. They had the Black Cross nurses. They had a newspaper. They had all of these businesses that they assisted other African people in this world to create. All of those were in the United States, but they had stuff all over everywhere. As a matter of fact, their newspaper was being read when people were trying to build the Panama Canal.
Yes, yes.
So those brothers there were already became Garveyites in South America, is what I'm saying. So in trying to recreate, what he was doing was establishing our independence so we don't have to ask anybody for a job. Hello?
All right.
That we will generate from within all the things that we need. So in our whole community, in trying to recreate ourselves in education, we recognize that education is everything. Every aspect of our life is touched by education in some way. Whether it is health, whether it's the garden that you all have outside, all of that is education because you had to learn how to grow something.
Exactly.
So we are focusing on a few things. We eventually established this year just an executive committee that will have subcommittees under it so that there's a place for everybody to work with. So one of the things I want to talk about that Brother Sam's mentioned and Sister Atia will talk to you about is we're working with them. They are the co-chairs. And so we are working with their organizations in collaboration through what we refer to as Ma'at decrees as opposed to a memorandum of agreement, because we're trying to recreate what our people did before all that other jargon came into existence. So what they are collaboratives. So we're showing how unity. We're trying to show you all how to unify so you can pick this up and expand it and make it better. So what we are doing with them in our committee is we're going to have a youth summit and we expect you all to participate in it. Our focus is going to be listening to you to hear what your concerns are, what you identify as your needs, and what you say or you feel are your solutions. And then we can help work with you to be able to develop those solutions. We're going to try to do that in July, and we might even do it here at this building. There are several other things that we are doing that we have recreated. We recreated the Marcus Garvey Honor Society. So in it, he has a book, what you all can get, which which is the philosophy of Marcus Garvey, the teachings of the philosophy of Marcus Garvey. And it has a series of lessons in it. And all of these things, he pulled together a group, and he basically came in with an educational structure to teach all of the different lessons that were in there. There were 22, but the book now has 11. So our Honor Society is structured around that, and we have created a new curriculum. And for those people who are able to teach it, we are this year finishing up a certification program that they have to go through, and they have to pass the exam, and they have to be tied to someone who was taught in legacy, basically, that Marcus Garvey taught, that taught somebody else, and so on and so forth. So we're dealing with it in legacy for those individuals who came directly from Marcus Garvey's teaching to establish this. And once the certification, then we're saying those people are certified to be able to teach the course to others because they have a full understanding of what it is that he was trying to do. So I'm sure Brother Seymour may go a little farther on that. But with our international committee, as I had mentioned, what we're doing right now immediately today with the United Nations and so on and so forth. We may be small, but we're mighty, and we believe in each other. We believe most importantly in you, our youth, because you are our present and our future. And without you, the race will die. With you, and with our guidance, and with our arms around you in love, not only can we recreate ourselves, but we can go forward, and eventually, in one of these days, all people across the world of African descent will not only be free, but will be independent and will be able to determine their own future and what they want to do with their lives. That is our overall goal. And our education is directed towards that. I could go on, but I think that that's enough because we have a program here today, and we want things to be as much interactive as possible. But this gathering was basically to let you know what this organization, what this government is in the process of trying to recreate. Ashe, thank you.
One more time, y'all. You all, I want you to be very clear, and I'm going to be strong but not long. Mama tonight did an excellent job of giving you an idea of what we're doing with our International Education Committee. We mentioned an agreement. Listen carefully. The following agreement is between the Pan-African organizations that see programs in aligning their work and their resources, particularly when it is more advantageous to move forward with locked arms to achieve a desired Pan-African goal. This agreement does not mean the absorption of one group by the other. Instead, it recognizes the African spirit of Mahat as an operational basis for working together successfully for African people. In a shared space of social and political values, Mahat calls forth order, justice, reciprocity, truth, harmony, righteousness, mutual respect, and the importance of maintaining faith in working cooperatively toward a dynamic and operational Pan-African world. We then agreed to work together and in cooperation on joint Pan-African projects based on the principles of Mahat to the achievement of our operational sustained Pan-Africanism in this world along that way. Will not take public positions against each other or engage in character assassination efforts. That's signed with many groups. I'm not going to mention them all, but some have already signed this with us, and it's important because everybody can do something. And let me be clear, the Rehabilitating Committee ain't lost no love for nobody that we may have fallen out with or we have been moved away from, as Mama Tendai said. So what we say is bring your stuff to the work table. Because we are one God, one aim, one destiny, and one Africa. And when we say one Africa, we're talking about taking control of the African continent from the racist, imperialist, neo-colonialists that continue to rape Africa You hear me?
Yes.
But it's not just Marcus Garvey, Amy Josh Garvey, our ancestors are waiting and watching. Children still crying and dying because we still too apathetic to understand the real reason why the youth are the truth. Because every one of you all have been a youth at one time. And I know what my mama used to say. You know, I mean, she said things that some mothers today don't even say to their children. I mean, you know, when I get disciplined, I couldn't get off the porch. You know, so I tried to be slick and climb the banisters to the next porch, so I didn't come off the porch. She said, son, I was talking about our porch. But my point to you is, things are not the same as they were yesterday. So we want to meet our youth where they are, because we know the truth, we know the black truth is in there. We know that they've been hoodwinked just like we've been hoodwinked, and we're not saying no youths are lost. They're not lost. If anybody is lost, it's those of us in the middle of the ancestors and the elders and the children. So what we find in ourselves. So many of the groups that are doing the work, we're not reinventing wheels. Marcus Garvey created the African Communities League to bring all Africans together. And the major objective was to take Africa back and to bring back sovereignty. And don't tell me we can't do it. We can do it in 24 hours if everybody tune into that electricity. So we want you to be very clear. And in closing, let me say this, y'all. It's very important to recognize our ancestors are very much with us. And they've laid the blueprint for us to follow. We don't need no more new ideas. We need to deal with those ideas that came that were good, and we need to be careful not to make the same mistakes of the past. So my teacher, Honorable Charles L. James, made it profoundly clear. Garvey lives. Charles L. James lives in us and what we do. But what are your children going to say? Grandson, Jamal, stand up, my eldest grandson. So I don't want my eldest grandson's children and their children to sit down tomorrow. I don't want them to say, what did Baba Seymour have to do to help us? So you need to leave something concrete here, because we spiritual beings have a physical experience. My brother David Horn, Professor David Horn, has traveled the world, been to many meetings, as my dear sister said. We know, we respect the African Union, but we also understand the African Union need to come back towards Kwame Nkrumah. Y'all hear me? Kwame Nkrumah and those brothers and sisters who actually put that together. You know, because things have gotten off course. Even the UNIA has gotten off course.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we teach the course of African philosophy, because God laid the course to keep us back on course. And we didn't just create the rehabilitating committee. Rehabilitating has been going on all along. If we ain't got what we're supposed to have, then that means you got to do what? Ameliorate, rehabilitate, right? So we're rehabilitating the UNIA. And for those people who run around saying we want one UNIA, let me be clear, we are one. But we want one Africa. Because we're not just rehabilitating the UNIA, we're rehabilitating the race.
Right.
So race first.
Race first.
Race first.
Race first.
How many people know about the PLM?
Yes.
The Pan-African Liberation Movement in Baltimore. Yeah. Well, they're around the corner. They'll be in here in a little bit. I want to make sure y'all are clear that we ride with them too. They built it. Baltimore on July the 27th. The Race First rally, but it is all across the country now. They're in Arkansas, they're different places, because they are trying to develop our young people's minds to understand race first don't mean we hate nobody. Race first means we're going to address ourselves first. And once we get ourselves straight, then we can straighten out everything else. Our Most High made no mistakes. Human beings made them all. So we need to rise up. We want reparations? Yes, we want reparations. But we want to repair ourselves. Because if we get any justice from the Yorugus, which, you know, I'm not waiting on that, but if we do get that justice, we'll make sure we do the right thing with it. So we want to internally repair it. We also want to make sure that we can repair ourselves by taking back what the Yorugu took from us. All the artifacts, all our people that scattered all around the world, everybody has a right. And if you want to repatriate, stop thinking that you got to get on a plane. Invest in Africa. Be a repatriation investor in the continent. That's the way you can help and support us. So I just want to appeal to you all. Today the event was no cost. Right. So but please, if you can, make a donation before you leave. Right. Because it costs to do these things. Yeah. We're not only paying the artists and the presenters, we're paying for the facility because we want to create the kind of economy that Garvey was talking about, race first.
And my aunt's law of reciprocity.
Exactly. So without any further ado, Sister Asa, will you come forward? And I also want to come forward, Sister Asa. come forward come forward. I just called you out, raise first. I just called you. Come forward real quick, brother. I'm not going to put you on the spot to talk yet, but I want y'all to understand, Imhotep Father just came in the room, and he does have some very powerful books. I'm not going to put you on the mic right now, but I wanted to put you on the spot because I just called out raise first and you came in the door. PLM is here. So what I'm saying, they'll give y'all a flyer of what I just told y'all about. But be very clear, we're going to come back to you after a while. But I want to make sure people knew you was in the house. And see, what we're saying is, if you're going to uplift Africans, Marcus Garvey said all Africans weren't even necessarily good to go back to Africa, because if they weren't good here, they wouldn't be good in Africa. So all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Okay? When we talk about Yoruba, we're not just talking about the other fellow. We talk about anybody that's on the unrighteous side, in the righteous side. So the African Diaspora Ancestral Commemoration Institute, which has been doing tremendous work for many, many years, not only Mama Tendai, Sister Ozzy, and all of the ancestors who work with that, and the sisters who have been put together that, they remind us all the time, build your altar, talk to your ancestors. So without any further ado, Sister Ozzy of Adasi is going to share some inspirational poetry with you. So put your black hands together.
Some of my words, some of the works that came through me for different events and different occasions. Sticking with the theme and the line of freedom, this next poem was written after I came back from Ghana and my experience at what they call castles in Cape Coast and Almina. And we had an opportunity, and you will hear it in this poem, Freedom Now. I almost suffocated in there. Pitch black, no ventilation, no sound, except my heartbeat and my fears. I almost suffocated. The stench of urine and blood and sweat from centuries of torture and dehumanization made it unbearable to even stand. I almost suffocated, but I walked out. They who were taken to this dungeon, this black hole, because they were rebellious and ran away and tried to escape and tried to be free, were constrained in this room, this living tomb, left to die. And many did die. Though in those chambers, those crypts, renamed castles to make fragrant the horrific crimes being carried out against them, they were the brave ones. And many of them lived, and because they lived and survived the Ma'afa of that time, we are here. And so what do we owe them? What do we owe them? They who lived and survived and endured, who were stolen and enslaved and tortured and oppressed, those who fought and toiled and freed themselves and freed others and were freed, who tolerated and withstood and were patient and were impatient, who labored in fields and houses and factories and plants, who built everything and made everything, including food from the scraps for their souls. They did everything. They were innovators, and in the midst, they sang and made music and made art and made quilts for direction and made baskets from sweetgrass and made cotton and clothes and homes and families and made love from their resilience. They too were the brave ones. And so what do we owe them? Some say we give them monuments that they deserve to memorialize their accomplishments and their courage. We owe them those. Others say we give them special months and dates and events to commemorate and observe their lives and achievements and triumphs. Yes, we owe them those too. And still, there are some who say we give them their acknowledgments in our prayers and in our songs and in our poems and in our acts to continuously keep them alive and praised and respected. And of course, we owe them these. And I say we also owe them our all. I say we owe them to own the freedom they gave us. I say we stand high. We never let them forget their struggles. We always remember their victories. We every day stand on the shoulders of free Africans around the diaspora, and we will continue to honor them with our living. We honor them with our freedom. We thank them for what they have done to get us where we are, and we will go further, and we will free others, and we will continue to reach the constellations because we are the brave ones now. We are here because of them. We are here in this place at this moment because our ancestors worked and endured and prayed and struggled and stayed and lived and loved and strived, and they made this world our home. We are the brave ones now. We are free. Be free. Live free. Freedom now. And this last poem I'm going to share is so very special to many of us. Last year, our organization, ADASI, the African Diaspora Ancestral Commemoration Institute, lost 2 of our dear members. And when I say lost, I simply mean in the physical, because they are here. They are our ancestors and they are ever present. One of the things that ADASI is known in the DC community in particular is for our altars. You see the ADASI mamas, we come in and we erect a sacred space, an altar for our ancestors, and we use that as a ritual space to commemorate and to honor them. And Mama Paula Coleman, who co-wrote this poem, when she transitioned, she wanted to remind us that we are the altar. So this is the poem, I am the altar. I am the altar. I am the sacred dwelling place where the ancestors' spirits reside. I am their spirit, reborn, and now I return. I am the altar. I am the consecrated space holder, beautifully created by the divine to extend the continuum, and I am still here in spirit. I am the altar. I am beautifully adorned with the decorative accoutrements of life, fabric woven by our people, sculptures and carvings in the images of our people, the written words of our people, drums and bells for the calling together of our people, garnishments of fresh flowers and food offerings, all to encompass the space for our people to spiritually connect to our ancestors, to each other, to ourselves. I am the altar. I am the foundation that holds the soil, that uses the water poured from libations to nourish the living. I am the stones prayed over and blessed as gifts to remember each ancestor honored in these sacred spaces. I am the candle, the light, the illumination of all that is love. I am the altar. I am the life of our ancestors, coming forth and going again, continuing in the cycle of rebirth and growth and joy and struggle and triumph and defeat and victory again and again, despite the odds, despite the perceptions, despite the era or time, we live on. We journey on. We do not die, Mama Tendai. We transcend. We elevate. We return and we come again as the sacred space, as the altar. I am the altar, and I am here.
We didn't just come to talk to you, we came to raise your black traditions. We came to raise you up to your traditional greatness. And we're gonna have a lot of entertainment in this segment here. And it's so important, so important that we recognize our youth. So I'm going to have the better half, or some people would say the second half. I like to say the better half because we understand African women rule. I'm going to say that again, black men. African women rule. Black man, did you come through an African woman rule?
Yeah.
Did you respect your mama? African women rule. And we want to put African women back in their traditional place. You know, Marcus Garvey was the only black man elected as the president of Africa. And in the 21st century moving forward, we hope to see an African woman elected as the only African woman of the whole world. Y'all heard me?
All right.
That's just a vision that I had. I was a personal vision because my mama told me well. Without any further ado, this sister here is not only going to talk to y'all about works happening with us, as Sam said earlier. She's going to talk to you about some great work she's doing on. And watch out, y'all, because like I say, arts and culture is how we can raise ourselves, but arts and culture is also how we can descend ourselves. Especially when it's negative. We want the positive. Y'all hear me?
Right.
Principle of Tahuti, attack negative energy with positive energy. Without any further ado, Sister Atia, they say,
All right, peace everyone. Thank you so much, Mama Tendai, for having me here. I get really emotional and really passionate about the work that I do. I do it every single day. I serve as an assistant principal in a middle school where we have 1,300 children. And I see so much within our children. I see their brilliance, I see their greatness, but I also see how just society and the images and the messages that they're receiving through social media, they access right through the phone, the music, the culture, it's really trying to dim the light of our children. And I'm going to speak directly to my people and our young people that are here, because we are absolutely in a state of emergency.
Yes.
And it's not with those children, it's with all of our children. Because even our children who have been brought up in this consciousness are still under attack. And it is a constant struggle and fight every single day for them to just remain African. Because there are so many messages that are bombarding our young people every single day that are anti-African. And so I am pleading with you, I charge you, we are all here. We all have families. Many of us have children who are grown, but we have grandchildren, we have nieces, we have nephews. We have a responsibility to our family first, because before we can fix the diaspora, we have to start with our own family. And so we have a responsibility to our family, the children who are here, seated next to us, to start with them. And even as conscious African people, we do not always parent with great intentions. We have to be very intentional with everything that we do, because we are at war. We are at war for the souls of our children. And when you are at war, you move very strategically. And so we can't leave anything up for them to just figure out on their own. And so if they're 3, 4, 5, and 6, or even 12, and you put a cell phone in their hand, you are not moving like somebody who was at war, because the enemy is on that phone. And we have to be very intentional, and I do apologize up front, but the passion is real, because I see this every single day. And our children are beautiful, they're brilliant. They really are. And the majority are showing up to school every day ready and prepared, but that's not the narrative, and that's not the message, and we don't control it. And so we have to take back our culture, which is under attack, which has been hijacked. And I know that I've heard since my college days, if you ask anybody about Atia, I've been very consistent around this music. And I'm going to pause here for a minute, because there are so many messages in the music, and it's very intentional. And I remember having a conversation with my husband probably at least now 5, 6 years ago about the language around the drugs and the pills. And I said, if we don't get a hold of this in 5 to 6 years, our children are going to be strung out, because they romanticize it. They make it seem like it's okay. Pop the pill, take the perk.
Right.
Messages around suicide. Fast forward, where are we? Where are we? There was a time last school year where I would say we were sending at least 3 to 4 students out in an ambulance a month because they overdose in school off of pills. And so this is very serious for me. And so when we talk about the leadership conference, we're not talking about those kids that need to come. We're talking about our children. Because we have to bombard them with these messages around what it means to be an African man, what it means to be an African woman.
Yes.
That is our job. That is our responsibility. We have to start with home first.
Yes.
And they can't hear these messages too often. They need to know how you prepare now to run your household. What do you have to know about finances? When you become a parent, what type of education are you going to provide your children? Are you going to put them in an African independent school, which we know that works?
Right.
Or are you going to say, I'm going to save those lanes, and I'm going to put you in a public school so I can buy a brand new car? These are real conversations that we have to have with our children. Because they are the next in line for us. And all the work that we do and our elders have done, if it doesn't matriculate down to your children and your grandchildren, what was it for?
What was it all for?
What was it for? So we really do have to be very intentional and deliberate around everything that our children see, what they interact with, the company that they keep.
Yes.
You can't manage and monitor a cell phone, so consider not putting one in their hand.
Right.
When my husband and I made that decision, my daughter did not get a phone until high school.
Right.
We heard a lot of this murmuring from the community and our family. But we didn't care because we were parenting in a very intentional way. Because I can't control what she accessed from those buttons on that phone.
That's right.
And so I am leading to my community because I think oftentimes we want to save everybody out there and our children. We're losing them. And so it's really important that when we have programs like this, that our elders have been doing this work for as long as I can remember, and there were seeds planted for me, and I didn't even realize there were seeds they were planted, right, being planted. But that's what happens, that seed grows. We don't stay in the weeds when you get information like this. You have no choice but to grow. So your children should be here. Your grandchildren should be here. Your nieces and nephews, they should be here because they need to hear this message. They need to be around this energy. They need to understand the work that their elders have done and continue to do. Because what they should be thinking about now is, how do I continue it? That's not a meeting that them people over there are having. They always talking about that stuff. I've been hearing that since I was little. That's not how we have to do this because we are in trouble. And I had the pleasure of facilitating a youth track for our Sankofa conference, if you're familiar with the Amphobia Sankofa conference. And many of those children come from conscious families. The conversations were very interesting. As we talked about the music, and we asked them questions like, who are your favorite artists? And they were very open. That was the point, right? Okay, but what are they talking about? So, because I'm an educator and I really know how this thing works, oh, okay, so what's your favorite song? We pull it up. We play it. And everybody kind of gets stuck, right? Because we know what the messages are about. So how does that uplift you as an African young man, as an African young woman? What makes you different? How do you let your light shine? If you are singing and dancing and affirming the same thing that everybody else is doing. And so I really challenge you, and I hope that I didn't go too far on, but I really challenge you as our community, right? Absolutely, I challenge you. I really do. To really think about where our families are. And it's great that we are here, but where are the families? Because we have to start, that's the nucleus. The first teacher. And our children are under attack. But they're so brilliant because with all of what they're not getting in school, what they're not learning about themselves and their history, they are still rising. They're still surviving. We had black children who don't go home and open a book at all and come back to school and rock it out because there's this natural African genius that's there. But we need to be intentional around how we nurture it and how we continue to cultivate it. And don't leave it up to them to figure it out. And so again, Mama Tendai has already spoken about the leadership conference that we are in the process of organizing. And it's going to be, very powerful. And we want to see our young people in the room. Because it's going to be an opportunity for them to speak. Because right now, they're listening. Right? But they have a voice as well. Now, their voice, of course, has to be guided. We're clear about that. But they do have a voice. And so we want to hear, what are your thoughts? When you turn on the news and everything about you is so negative, but you know that's not who you are in your totality. How do we fix this? What are some of the things that we can do? How do we challenge the music that's being targeted to you? Why is it okay for a sexy red to come to your high school, but a Minister Farrakhan can't go to Howard University? Let's talk about that, because we talked about freedom. But what is freedom in this country? You have the freedom to be self-destructive.
Yes.
But do you really have the freedom and the power to speak your truth and uplift your people? And we're going to talk about mental health. Because our children experience a lot. Now they're living in two worlds, this world and the virtual world. And that virtual world is very real for them. And that's a world that oftentimes, as adults, we're not invited to. Right. And so we really need to understand the significance of that world and what's going on there. And I'm telling you the truth. In my school, I don't allow my students to have cell phones during the school day because I got smart and I figured out this is where the conflicts start. They don't have to have two words with each other. They can go on that device and all kinds of things are happening. If I'm not telling them, raise your hand, young people, if you know what I'm talking about. Tell the truth. Absolutely. They know. They know it's a whole nother world. But what if we use that technology for good? What if we taught our children, right, how to use these platforms to uplift their community and their people? Because sometimes they don't even have a concept of what they could look like and what that means because they've been so used to using it in this particular way. But what if we train them on how to use it differently? We can change so much. What if they understood that there is technology, but there's a spiritual technology that our people have always had access to? How else would we build and connect the way that we did? What if they really understood that? What if they understood it? What could they do with that information? And so if there are educators here, and I see Mama Lydia, anyone else work in a school or as an educator? Yes, I'm a retired educator. Yes, and so one thing, very good. So one thing that I challenge us as educators to do is when we're in these public schools, as much as we can, bring this to them. We have so much money in our budgets. We know it. And I'm very intentional around bringing my people to the children because oftentimes the families may not do it. Right. But it's our responsibility to plan. Okay. Don't do it. All right, Mama. Most of the time. I hope that's not true, but so it's our responsibility to use our resources and our platforms as much as we can to uplift our students because right now, everything is geared towards having you all vibrate on a low level and making you think it's your freedom. That's why you say things like, "Oh, girl, let her live." I see that smile because you know we connected, right? Just let her live. That is not an accurate concept to let her live. It is our job and our duty and responsibility to check our sister, to check our brother, to hold them accountable. It's very European to say let her live because you see she's about to fall off a cliff. Right? And so we need you all in the room. You have to be, because now there's a spark there. And I know you want to know more. But you have to put yourself in the right place. There are no more excuses. We're at war. Do you all understand that? We are at war. Yes. And we have to have the tools to fight. And unfortunately, you're not going to get those tools off the internet, from your phone, from IG. from Twitter, from TikTok. It's a distraction. And so I really hope that you know we're connected, but I really want to make sure that you know that you have to now take the next step. And the next step is to inquire, well, how do I find the next meeting? How do I find these people again? I want to be a part of that youth organization that they talk about. You have a responsibility in this.
That is so.
Because this is about your future.
Wait, only
Sweetheart, young lady, not right now. So we have to be aware of what's going on with our young people. And so again, the leadership workshop, we have not finalized the date in July, but it will be held in July. We haven't finalized the location. We do have a couple places in mind, and we are going to have other young people work alongside the facilitators because, again, we want them to understand how to do this work because they have pets. And so what better way to do it than to have them work alongside us, right? So very strategic in everything that we do. We're going to cover many topics, of course, entertainment, the music industry, health, economics. And so, again, we hope that you bring your young people to us. It is important that they are in the room. And I would like to once again, because I have to say this, please, thank you so much. Thank you to this government because the seed was planted for me. And I'm so serious. When I was younger than the young people here. And so now, I have a responsibility to do the same. But you continue to give us platforms to share this information, and it's really important. And I really, really do thank you for the bottom of my heart. Really quick, 2 minutes.
And your Black Excellence Program.
Absolutely. So, I was really frustrated with the, of course, images and messages that were out there about who our young people are. And so I created Good Smart, the Urban Stimulus Project, and the sole focus is to highlight the brilliance, resilience, and genius of our people. And that's what we do. So we have STEM programs, our children have flown planes, we bring our experts in STEM to our children so they can sit at their feet and speak with them. We have an annual Illuminate Your Black Brilliance Award ceremony where we bring about 300 high school and middle school students together every year. We have categories, they receive a $1,000 scholarship. It is really amazing, it's powerful. We're excited, and this award ceremony is really brilliant in the sense that we don't just recognize our young people, we also recognize a living legend in that category as well as an ancestor. And so we have to make sure that we are always honoring and acknowledging our ancestors. And so if you would like more information about Good Smart, the Urban Stimulus Project, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Very, very good. Come on, let's see. All right, I encourage everybody, listen up, please. Everybody interface with each other. Make sure Sister Tia and Brother Sam are serious about doing this youth conference, but we right there with them. So when you see them, recognize we are together and we're supporting them. So without any further ado, we're going to move right along. We're getting ready for some great, more entertainment. Like the sister said, we got to provide our youth with the right kind of entertainment. And so let me know when you're ready, Sister Free. And Mama Kathy, you can come forward because you're going to be right after her. Robert, you're going to be. And we want to keep this rolling. We in time, though. So let me know when you're ready, Sister Free. Yeah, so it's very, very important for us to understand, y'all. Art is critical. Art and culture are critical. You know, I'm real clear that. And you know, I'm just giving my sister Free the time she wants to. When she tells me she's ready to do it. But it's very, very important for y'all to recognize that I know when I was growing up, there was certain music I couldn't even listen to. Or I'd be very in trouble. But I know also there was music that I did listen to that helped raise me up. That's why I know about Black Church. I call myself a funkadelic. Y'all don't know nothing about the funkadelic. Y'all too young for the funkadelic. And I'm not talking about the crazy stuff. I'm talking about the positive stuff. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about stuff that kind of lifted you up, raised you up. You ready, my sister? All right, so without any further ado, for y'all that do not know, Sister Free Benjamin is one of the roughest artists in the D.C. Banneker City area, and we always are blessed to have her in our presence. And later on, you're going to hear how she contributes to I Think the College Greens Camp. We're going to talk about that, but anyway, without any further ado, Sister Free.
Greetings, family. Greetings. Thank you for that warm welcome. Whoa, pirates, yes, and robots sold out to the merchant ship. Men's after venom tonight. From the bottom left, my hands were made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We forwarded this generation triumphantly. So all you have to say, these songs of freedom, all I ever had, all I ever had, were redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no this song I wrote, and it's for everyone out there who hasn't quite found the courage to bring forth your gifts and your passions.
I dreamt that I could fly. It was a message for my soul. Time to metamorphosize. Like a beautiful butterfly. Don't keep your music inside. Don't keep your music inside. Don't keep your poetry inside. Don't keep your stories inside. Don't keep your voice inside. Don't keep your passion inside. Let it flow, set free. Let it be. Talking to you, talking to me. Let it flow, set it free. Let it be. I'm talking to you, talking to me. Yeah. Let it flow, set it free. Let it be.
And on that note, let's lighten up the fire. I wanna light it up the fire, yeah. lighting up the light. Equal rights and justice, lighting up the light. I said equal rights and justice and lighting up the light. I said lighting up and you lighting up, said we can lighten up the light. Come on, y'all. Lighten up and you lighten up, said we can lighten up the light. Lighten up and you lighten up and we can lighten up the light. Lighten up the light. Lighten up the light.
This is an infomercial. Culture Shack. Culture Shack. WPFW at 4 o'clock is going to be giving you that inspirational music. King, Zaire, and Sister Kim. The Culture Shack. Right here in D.C. Y'all get all kinds of music that uplift you. So without any further ado, I have the honor and pleasure of bringing to you not only my significant other, not only my one who keep me in check, not only the one who I keep in check, our things the collard greens, who working with girls, Mama Kathy, and see, as you can see, it's a family affair. And you're right, don't begin with family and then you do the extended family. But you get the family right, the extended family will be right. Without any further ado, you want to use the mic stand in, or you can hold the mic.
Peace and love, race first. Race first. Race first. I cannot say a thing without acknowledging all our ancestors in this space. This church was founded in 1880. It was the Lincoln Industrial Mission that started after the Civil War to take care of our people. The building here was built in 1928. This place held huge services. It would serve this community, the Shaw community. And when the last major pastor retired in 1994, the church started to see its decline. The neighborhood changed, as you all know. They started restricting parking. So people couldn't park to come to church on Sunday. So the church ended up closing. But I need to just say that there's a lot of energy in this space. And I'm so glad that it is open for the community to use. So we give thanks for that. And there was a song that they used to sing in this church. We're going to change the lyrics. I have decided to follow Garvey. I have decided to follow Garvey. I have decided to follow Garvey. No turning back. No turning back. Come on, sing with me. I have decided to follow Garvey. I have decided to follow Garvey.
it one more time. I have decided to follow God. I have decided, come on, sing, grandson. Follow God. I have decided to follow God. No turning back. No turning back. All right, so y'all know me as Mama Cat. So that's what we're gonna go by today. And there's an ancestor who I was told her pictures on the wall back here. And I believe that every one of us has a specific ancestor who chooses us if we choose to listen and bring forth their works. And so for me, it's been Sister Nanny Helen Burroughs, who founded a school here in D.C. In 1909, she came out from Orange, Virginia. She was born in 1879, both of her parents were enslaved. And she had a little girl. Her mama had a little girl, and she decided she wanted to bring her to D.C. to get a better education. Because you know how it is in the country, the schools were quite at the top. So she came here, she went to school, and one of her teachers was, of course, Anna Julia Cooper, because she went to the M Street School, and they just did a fabulous play called Tempestuous Elements at the stage. I don't know if any of you saw it. Fabulous, on Dr. Anna Julia Cooper. And one of the things that she learned from Anna Julia Cooper is that you are your sister's keeper.
Yes.
So Nanny Helen Burroughs wanted to teach in the D.C. public schools, but she wasn't the right shade. She was a little chocolate sister. And D.C. has a fair skin complex.
Yes.
And so she decided she was going to eventually find her own school, but she did. Now, as I said, I think ancestors choose some of us. And she was to be returned me to my relatives. And I made a decision to do that after having some health challenges. And the issue for me was much like Sister was talking about. I could see how our children were just immersed in these little boxes, these little phones, their iPads, their computers. And the energy coming out of them was not supportive of what we were trying to do for our children. So, learning our things, 2 collard greens, means just that. Take those eye things, those little iPhones, etc., put them away, and move back to collard greens, back to basics, which collard greens symbolizes who we are, right? So, of course, there are challenges with our children and these phones. So the camp started in 2012. We've been around now for what, 13, 14 years? 13 because we started once during the pandemic because I just could not do it over a computer. And we were going back to basics, much like Ms. Burroughs did, you know, spiritual technology, meditation, yoga, a lot of walking, a lot of talking, sitting in a circle, a lot of singing. They sew, they knit, they play games, double dutch, jacks, all of that. They cook, they clean, learn how to make a bed with hospital corners. And just think about what it would feel like to run free in the country. That was my initial plan. But for many of those years, we had day camp here in the city, and we had up to 52 girls a year. And they did all of those things, and some of them would actually take a week away and go to the country. It was kind of like going to grandma's house, except it's on a 132-acre retreat site. And after the pandemic, we made a decision that we were not going to have day camp any longer. We were really going to take the girls out of the city because this is what they needed. And so many people in here are familiar with the concept and have worked with me. Mama Lydia was involved with us last summer and will be again with us this year. I see a grandparent. Can you speak, stand, Lydia? I see Mama Maisha, who worked with us. We had day camp. Sister Free wrote the song with the girls, I Thanks to Collard Greens, which is really a beautiful tune. I'm not going to bore you to sing you with it tonight right now, but we have had major influences. We had grandmama back here, Mama Brenda. Her baby girl, Kennedy, came with us one year. And so many people have donate. We rely strictly on donations. And so that's how we keep it going. And we will be coming back up July 8th through the 18th. July 10th through the 18th, we'll be going down to South Carolina. I will just tell you this. As the sister said, we are in a war. We are at war. I was just sharing that I had one little girl sit in a circle last summer. Because you know, they give up the phones when they get off the bus. You know, give us the phones. She sat in a circle last summer. Oh, I didn't realize I could have so much fun without a phone. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, we feel so happy, right? One evening, one of the mamas goes in the room, because you know, they have to keep the doors open. That little girl had a phone in her room. And she was calling her brother because she missed her brother.
Oh.
Now, I understand that, but I also think she's probably doing something else with that phone. Just so, this child is dear to me, and I recognize this about her. The phone has continued to get her in trouble. She apologized to me when she came back personally. We had a conversation. She apologized for being out of integrity. In the meantime, she's not in school. She kicked out of school. Her parents are having homeschool, or her grandmama's having homeschool, and that may be what is best for her. But I just want you to know, these kids are addicted. Yeah. They are addicted. Yeah. And there is so much stuff up there that they have no business looking at. And at the same time, I've had to retrain my mind to understand why they want to look like Beyonce. Because I used to have a whole lot of issues. Why I got all this hair?
Dopamine.
I get it now. I understand. I'm not judging anymore. I had some judgments. I'm doing much better, but I do believe that we have really got to do better with our children. Our goal is to teach them how to be in service to themselves, to their family, to the community, and mostly to the creation that they are and the creator that gave them life. How they do that is their choice. But service is the main thing. One of the songs we teach them is this. I love myself so much that I can love you so much that you can love you so much that you can start loving me. Woo. And it goes like this. I'm going to sing it once and see if you can get it. We're going to do it, okay? I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. One more time. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. Because that's one of the things I see. Because they don't know how to love themselves. And if they can't love themselves, how can they love someone else or expect someone to love them? Right. Now see, I grew up in a home where my mother had sister friends. There were women always in our house. But I now recognize that there are a lot of young girls whose mamas had taught them not to trust other sisters. So they don't trust their sisters. That is one of the things we have also got to encourage. Love and trust. Love and trust each other. Don't be afraid of each other. And if you got an issue, let's talk about it. Let's have some conflict resolution. Call in a mom, call in a Baba, and let's talk about what's going on. But don't immediately dismiss and go to the heart with hate. Please don't do that. So anyway, I'm just here to share my love for the girls. My peace of love, Culture Shack. Good to see y'all. Good to tuning in. And what an ancestor asked me to do. So I ask you to listen, young people. Listen. And if you read something that resonates with you, because I read a book about Nanny and June Blueprint. It changed my life. And it resonates with you, and you find that there's a nugget in there that's touching your heart and that you can do something about it. Try it on. Just try it and see if it works. And if it fails the first time, don't give up. Try it again. One more thing before I close up with another song y'all gonna sing too. My son is a jazz musician. His birthday is September 18th. His great-grandfather's birthday was September 18th. His great-grandfather also played the bass. Now, we found this out much later on. His great-grandfather grew up in Highport, North Carolina, next to John Coltrane. And actually taught John Coltrane a little bit of how to play the bass. So here we come later on, 2 generations down now, right?
He's a professor.
3 generations. And my son is a percussion player, but he goes to DC Youth Orchestra, and all they have for him to play is a bass, because they didn't have any more drums. So he plays the bass. And then he studies and studies. He wants to quit. Oh, no, you will not. You will keep playing that bass, because there's nothing out in the streets for you to do. And he has gone on to do great, great things. This year, he's a curator, he's artist in residence at DC Jazz Festival. Okay? But all I'm saying is, he didn't even know what he was being called to do. But there was an ancestor that dropped into him and said, you're going to finish the work I couldn't do, because his great-grandfather was a house painter. He could have never made a living as a bass player at that time. But he also influenced another great musician, John Coltrane, right? And that's who corporate listened to all while we was growing up. Because all we do is play jazz and reggae and gospel music, because I like gospel music. So on that note, I'm closing down. There's another song that they probably sang in this here church. I know they did. And we're going to change the lyrics to this one too. And as we've come this far by faith, we're going to say we've come this far by works. Leaning in to God, studying his written word, he never failed me yet. We've come this far by works, leaning in to God, studying his written word. He never failed me yet. I'm gonna say, oh, 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 can't turn around. We've come this far by works. All right. Thank you so much. Bless you, Sister Tia. We got to get together, huh? I appreciate you. And y'all, what y'all doing with my life? Anyway.
Y'all, I told y'all that was my higher other, my tender love. And she, thank you. And I know she's rushing because we got other stuff we're going to do with later on. But y'all, it's so important. Brother, listen, we ain't going to stop taking the electricity higher. If y'all think y'all heard something from them about sisters, wait till you hear from this brother. Now, by the way, y'all, we are on time. By the way, Rosted is trying to get you caught up in traffic, but we got a couple more messages, and we're going to get out of here, like you said, on time. Some people told me, like my good brother, I called his name, you ain't going to be able to do it. I said, if you get me MC, I'm going to make it happen. We started 15 minutes late, and without any further ado, and we want to talk about a coalition that Division 330, I got it, Robert, but I'm setting the stage, Robert. I got it. Come on up, Robert. It's very important for us to understand, okay? If our cemeteries and our people who have been abused, particularly raped little girls, in a cemetery can get abused, they will do anything. Brother Robert's going to talk to us about Moses Cemetery, but he also going to share some poetry with us, right? So Robert, you do it in whatever order you want, brother.
Thank you, Baba Senghor. All right, thank you. Just want to say thank you all for coming out here on this Saturday. Now, before I recite some poetry, I just want to mention what Baba Senghor talked about. I'm part of the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition, a coalition that I'm proud that the UNIA-ACL Woodson Jackson Banneker Bay Division is a long-standing partner of. So I just want to give you all a round of a hand. For those of you who aren't aware of what is Moses Cemetery, Moses Macedonia African Cemetery is one of the oldest African American cemeteries, burial grounds located in Bethesda, Maryland. And for the past 8 years, we have been fighting a corrupt, tyrannical government that says progressive ideals, but then turns around and does the complete opposite. It ignores the will of the people. And one of the ways that it does that is that it willfully and actively desecrates an African American cemetery. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of how serious desecration is, not only is desecration considered a hate crime, it is considered an act of war. It is considered an act of genocide. If you don't believe me, you can look up the UN Charter of 1948 if you don't believe it. And that's very important because, as the sister indicated earlier, we are at war. They may not have said, I declare war on black people, but they declare it every day when we are shot and killed by police. They declare it when they displace us, or I don't even call it gentrification, I call it domestic imperialism. They do so when they underfund our schools. They do so when they violate our final resting places. And so how could this happen? Some will try and blame, well, maybe the descendant community shouldn't have lost control of the cemetery, to which I say is BS. How can you lose control of something when you are displaced over and over again? That is not the fault of a community. That is a deliberate act of war. And so what we have currently been doing is, in addition to having weekly rallies, which I'm glad that Baba Mosey and Baba Senghor, I've been leading every Wednesday, and I highly encourage you all to come to those rallies if you are able to. But we're also putting together another Juneteenth celebration, which I invite you all to attend, to show that you may live in D.C., you may live in Prince George's County, or some of my comrades call it Tubman Douglas County. You may live in Virginia, you may live in Pennsylvania. But we have to show that we have to present a united front, which is what we are supposed to be about. We can talk a good game of unity all we want, but we have to demonstrate it by our deeds and in our words. We also had the honor and privilege last summer to formally launch the reparations movement in Montgomery County, or as I like to call, per our reparations plan, Divine Tyack County. For those who don't know, Divine is named after Father Divine, who was born in Montgomery County. And Tyack is an indigenous word, it's a Piscataway word, it means emperor, ruler. Because not only do we want to pay homage and not act like colonizers, but to remind ourselves of our inherent royalty, our inherent aristocracy. But we cannot do it without you all. And so I'm asking, I am imploring that you all, just as for you all who are here for part of behalf of UNIA, as far as I'm concerned, you're part of the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition as well. As we say, as Samora Machel once said, when Mozambique was liberated against the Portuguese, a luta continua, Victoria é certa. The struggle continues. Victory is certain. Now, I know I was asked to do a poem, and this one is an old one I wrote a while ago. It's called Blessed is the Blood. So I hope you all like it. They say the ink of a scholar is worth more than the blood of a martyr. But it is the blood of the martyr that gives the scholar something to write about. It is the blood of the martyr that waters the tree of revolution and gives it life-sustaining force. It is blood that tells the story of all who has been, all that there is now, all that there will be. It is blood that honors our ancestors. For our ancestors saw you coming and made sure they did everything they can to make sure that you would be here at this point in time. It is blood that has brought you here for you can be born for a time such as this. Blessed is the blood, for it connects us back to our homeland. And like our homeland is filled with rich running waters and fertile valleys and life-giving, sustaining energy. It is that blood that unites us. It is that blood that upon first glance of seeing each other, it's like, I may not know you, yet I do know you. So yes, the ink of a scholar may be worth 1,000 times more than the blood of a martyr. But it is the blood that gives the scholar something to write and talk about. Ashe. Okay, that's good. So, who's buried in Bethesda? Who's buried in Moses Macedonia African Cemetery? So we know for a fact that we have a Civil War veteran, William Henry Harrison Brown, who served as a member of the 30th Colored Infantry of the Army of the Potomac. We also have the founding pastor of Macedonia Baptist Church. We also have the descendants of the slave African girls who unfortunately were bred out and their children sold to the Deep South. That is who is buried. And what they want to do is on one part of the cemetery, they want to build a parking lot. And on the other part of the cemetery, they want to build a storage unit. And the reason why I put that in air quotes, because the name of to provide context here, the name of the company that's building it is 1784 Holdings. And you can look on their portfolio of what it is they're planning on building. They say they want to plant a storage unit, but the way the storage unit works, I don't know about you all, but have you ever seen a storage unit that has clear glass around it? Have many of you ever seen a storage unit that has a environmentally friendly gazebo at its top? The reason why I put air quotes around that storage facility because this is just a theory that they're going to build it originally as a storage unit, but then repurpose it as a mixed-use facility. And this is very pivotal and why I highly encourage you all to read up on development plans that their so-called planning board comes up with. Because quite frankly, planning boards are nothing but rubber stamps of developer-led projects. And within the context of Montgomery County, on that part of River Road, which at one point was a thriving black working class community, they declared that area an economic development corridor instead of the historic corridor which it should have been. The only thing that remains of that community is the historic Macedonia Baptist Church. And one of the things that I have found, that when someone asks, what is this black church doing here? I simply respond, what are you doing here? That church is 104 years old. You only lived in Bethesda for 6 years, so what are you doing here? And the reason why you have to ask that question is you gotta make both things. If this black church has been here for 104 years, yet I've only been here for 6, what was the community like before I even showed up, let alone before I was born? It will tell you that this was once a thriving black working class community where some of the descendants who are still alive will tell you that they remember their neighbors going into Washington, D.C. and building the bunkers that the president uses whenever there's a bomb threat. They will tell you that their skill in stonemasonry was so powerful that they built these mansions in Potomac. Mansions that they were not allowed to live in, but they built it, which I think is perfectly metaphorical for this country. That is who is buried in Moses, Macedonia. I don't just say descendants of our enslaved ancestors to be sure, but those who fought back. There's a word that I learned a few years called balanta. Balanta means those who fight back. And that is who is buried in Moses. They fought back by any means necessary. And so that's who we have to honor, that's who we have to fight for, And when we get Moses Macedonian African Cemetery back, we're going to make sure not only is it under complete descendant control, but we're going to have a museum and a memorial built so that we can tell the true story. And I repeat, the true story of a community that not only survived enslavement, survived displacement, but their descendants fought back against a corrupt government. One final thing, and I know the President General is going to speak. But one of the things that I use Moses Macedonia as a symbol of resilience, as a symbol of the fact that we're at this point in time that liberation movements can no longer simply be a check on power. Liberation movements must now become the power. And when liberation movements become the power, we become the power. One of the things that we're going to do is that we're going to set up people's revolutionary tribunals to punish people who let desecration take place. And I'm not just talking about the developers. I'm talking about their house Negro, or as Bobo St. Gore says, black Negroes. Because all a house Negro is a fascist. Just a fascist that just tries to hide their stuff. And so I highly encourage you all to get involved in any way, shape, or form. And on that note, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got two more presenters. Brother Ross Led was caught up coming from Baltimore, and he caught up on 495, so he probably is not going to close us out. But I'm going to add this point, and I'm going to get the closing message. Y'all put your hands together with what y'all heard already. I hope you take it in. I hope you take it in some things, because this is a program that's organized activity. The tree of life, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding are three branches of the mind. What you should think about most of your time. I'm sure it's time to check out your mind, for our lives are on the line. Sweet tree of life, you're so fine and divine. Love, peace, and happiness are the roots of the tree that which make up the soul. You should check yourself before you get old. Relax and release your soul. Free spirit will make you bold. Before time makes you grow cold. Sweet tree of life, thank you for our immortal souls. Food, clothing, and shelter are the trunk of the tree, that which make the body. But the racist bird of prey has his claws tied to the trunk, for the vulture cares for nobody. He ate freedom, justice, and equality, so the tree wouldn't bloom. It seems as if the tree is doomed, but the roots will cause the blossoms to bloom, and the stems will shake the vulture to the ground, so that the tree of life will get some light, and we our rights. Sweet tree of life, sweet tree of life, sweet tree of life. You're so fine and divine. Written in 1976. How about a single? Anyway, I want my brother Imhotep to come up. He got a few minutes, but he's dealing with race first. But not only is he dealing with it, he's organizing a strong family network in BMO, Tubman City, I should say. And I'm so happy he's here, because we, the UNIA, we definitely, when you say race first, hey, we want it. We are connected in many places, not just in Tubman City, but wherever race first are being done. And in 2025, if I'm not correct, we're going to do a big race first thing. We're going to bring together all the race first people around the world. And we don't come just for celebration of that. Come bringing your work to the table.
Peace, man. Hotel. Race first. A people for ODA. A people for ODA. It means African liberation. And I say that because that's an affirmation. And African people need an affirmation. We need to always be able to share positive words to uplift our mind. Baba St. Gore always told me out here to be real brief. So I'm Baba Imhotep. I see Spatu, the founder of PLM, relocated in Baltimore City. PLM stands for the Pan-African Liberation Movement. It was founded in 1995 while I was in prison. I was a supermax in Baltimore when I started this organization. I've been home from prison for almost 20 years this November. Since I've been home from prison, this is what I've been doing. I don't know anything else but to do this right here. So I came into this knowledge in 1992. 1992 to the day, this is what I walked. I've never quit. I've never said I was tired. I've never said I want to leave. I've never said any of those things when it comes to doing this work. You know, we struggle sometimes with our people because our people don't always grasp it. But at the end of the day, my heart is always true. This is the message that I would like to share. I think that what we can do as a people is we really got to strive to truly understand in our heart what this knowledge is all about. In my 30 plus years of doing this work, we have ceremonialized, we have ritualized, and we have fantasized the knowledge. We in the time period now where the knowledge got to be a living thing. It has to be a living thing that embodies you. It has to possess you. That's what this is all about. So when we call Garvey name, we're calling the man who was possessed by knowledge. Because if you listen to Garvey, and if you study Garvey, you can go read Martin Delaney, and you heard Garvey and Martin Delaney. Delaney came before Garvey. But the thing about the truth and the knowledge is that it moves. It doesn't stand still. Garvey, he exemplified something of the highest degree. And he did that because he knew that he wasn't the only person who could do it. You read it, he said, what one man has done, man can do. So he always encouraged us that way. Not for us to feel like he is the top. He wants us to stand on his shoulders. Because all of his works, we have to consolidate all of his works. We are doing it, no doubt. But we have to consolidate it. And we have to consolidate it because a lot of us are afraid to push the bar, to go beyond, to develop, to evolve, to innovate, to create, to take the lessons that God laid down and push those lessons. That's the work that I try to do in PLM. So when I say race first, I define race first like this. I don't say I'm on the term, because race first was said by many individuals. Herbert Harrison said race first. Many people said race first, but this is how I define it. Because in Baltimore City, no one was saying race first to the degree that I was saying it to. I say this right here. Race first is thought and behavior that places the social, political, economic interests, spiritual well-being, and overall material survival of the black race first to facilitate African science. And if we ain't doing that, we ain't doing race first in this time period. And we ain't doing that, we ain't doing race first. Because we're not in 1920. 1920 hadn't seen crack cocaine. Garvey never dealt with crack cocaine. We have. The mess we're dealing with today, these are crack babies' children. That's right. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a whole different beast. So we got to be willing to evolve and push this knowledge somewhere else if we're going to save our communities. We got drug addicts at 15, 13, and 12. That's a different monster. That's a different monster, man. So we talk about race first, we gotta be serious about race first. Put the race first in all areas, in every single category. How are you advancing on what Garvey came and done? How do we advance? How do we take it to another level? How do we capture Africa? How do we build the global African world that Garvey spoke about? It can't just be something that we talk about. We do too much talking. Too much talking. We gotta transform our behaviors. Garvey talked about in the philosophy on Prince, he talked about how hard it is to find good men. That's what he said. Frederick Douglass said it, what, 75 years before Garvey? It's better to raise up good children to try to do what? To repair broken men. That's true. And we still dealing with it in 2024. Broken people. And we don't want to talk about the necessity of building good character. That's not out the category conversation. Go to 1,000 speeches, we never talk about character. Because we normalize the insanity that we live in. We normalize it, and then we take insanity and make it functional. But I don't do that. I'm hard on character. Yes. Get your character right. Keep your word. Keep your word. If you're not going to come through your word, don't open your mouth. Don't show up on the battlefield when I throw a punch and you don't want to throw a punch either. Don't be there. You saw boys in the hood. What Cuba Gooding Jr. said they got in that car? They said, pull over, let me get out this car. And what did those boys tell me the next morning? He said, I respect that, man. You know, we good. Because you ain't come to the battlefield and freeze up and get us killed. You got out because you knew your heart wasn't going to take you that far. And that's what we got to be. We got to be honest with ourselves. If you're not going to show up with a battlefield, the correct way or she ain't do this. Everybody want to make a reason to quit. I don't do no quit. This thing's going all the way to the ground. So when I say race first, I'm saying race first in the spirit of God. I'm saying race first in the spirit of humanity. I'm saying race first in the spirit of all our ancestors that put us first. Starting from the continent of Africa, through the Caribbean, through Europe, Australia. That's who we are. Right. Nova Scotia. Yeah. That's who we are. This is the work. And this is the work of PLM. So real quick, if you don't have one of these right here, get one of these little flyers. This is the Race First Rally. It's happening in Baltimore City. This will be our 4th one this July 27th. Please come out. Because all the time we talk race first, we talk Africa, we talk Pan-Africanism, but we don't want to leave our own cities. Where the pan out of that? God went all over the country, right? Went all over the world, went all through the Caribbean, all through South America. But yet we won't even leave D.C. We won't leave Baltimore. We won't leave Philly. When we keep talking, we Pan-African. We telling lies again. Yes. Name a Pan-African in history that didn't travel. Right. You don't have one. You don't. Race first.
Race first. Yes. Brothers and sisters, I want to introduce to you who may not have known the President General, ACL Rehabilitating. When I joined the UNIA in 1980, and I grew up into the ranks, I ran into the Nkrumah family. But anyway, without any further ado, based on time, I want to bring to you the President General of the UNIA RC 2020, Governor ACL Rehabilitating.
We started off with the powerful sister queens.
Yes.
Then we hear from a power brother.
All right.
Then y'all call on me. I say race first.
All right.
I live race first.
All right.
My teacher in Garveyism was Thomas W. Hardy. He was taught by Marcus Messiah Garvey in the first class.
First class.
In the first class.
All right.
Along with him was a sister.
Right.
Yes. People think Garvey only taught men. Garvey taught sisters too. And he taught them leadership. And Sister Isaac was a member of Division 121 in the city of Philadelphia when I was the youth coming through the ranks. I give you that only to give you some history, because I want you to recognize the message that was dealt to you today. We have aid first to save our children. But aid first, you can only do that if you save their mothers.
Right.
And you can't do that if they don't have a father. So if a man don't stand up, the woman not going to stand up, and we're going to lose the children.
That's right.
And then we can't be race first. Right. Because we'll have lost the race by losing the children. Right. All across this country and all across the world. Right. You look at the destruction of African people, it started with first destroying the family, destroying the connection between the brother and the sister. Right. And then you destroy the children. Right. It's not the crack babies that we're dealing with now. We're dealing 2 generations beyond the crack baby. We done went through the heroin baby. We done went through the next drug baby. We done went through let's go get the pill popper baby. We got to give our children some healthy alternative, but it starts with the mind. My sister said, take the phone away. Right. And give them a book. Race first.
Race first.
You stand on race first. You have to live on race first. But I want to take it one step further. Because of all of the political activity, you keep hearing people say, well, I'm over here. And no disrespect, because I believe we stand as one. I'm PLM. Well, PLM, you UNIA. Oh, no, I'm UNIA. Oh, no, I'm something else over here. Excuse me. What you are is a black in America and an African that need to be home. You see, because if we don't stand on our African truth, we will not stand. I stand with PLN. I stand with education. I taught school in an independent institution for 25 years. I raised children that come to me in passion and say, you don't look no different. Now, I think my children just love me. I think they just love me. Because I didn't wear glasses then either. But they say, wow, look like time stood still. And I always smile and be trying to figure out, who are you? It's been, grown up. The thrust is that connection, though. I can still see the teachings from the classroom and their behavior and what they do and how they move and what work they contribute. And when I say race first, they say, where, Baba? Where you need me? That's our children. That's our future. I raised many sons. And I didn't say I birthed them. Understand? I said I raised many sons. But I raised many daughters too. And I'm always pleased when my daughter says, Dad, you was a good dad. My brother, you made a mark when you said about a man on the battlefield. You said, because he's going to be on the battlefield and he ain't going to fight to stay home. And I'm going to tell you, if you're on the battlefield, if you don't go to the battlefield because you stay home, we're going to bring the damn battlefield to you. We're going to bring it to you. See, because it ain't no way ain't no way in hell. We gonna change this mess. If you think you can avoid the fight, you can't. You ain't gotta like me. But you gotta know as I will fight for you. You ain't gotta say I wanna work with you. But you gotta know I'm gonna work for you. This is thrust around the world and say we need one UNIA. Let me tell you something. If we are all working together, even in our different pockets, working for the same exact thing, the liberation and freedom of African people, we are one. But I say let the charge be one Africa. One Africa. Because if I work for one Africa, I don't care what you title is, what organization you represent, you work for one Africa. And then we are one. One Africa. The mission of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey was to free Africa from the imperialistic control and devastation of a European being that sat in, 1866 and decided we're going to draw a line on this thing and we're going to make this what we want. I'm sorry, my ancestors were too kind to them. Well, no, we weren't invited to that party, but we set up the party. Because we were too kind to them. When they first came, that was when you were supposed to sink them in the ocean before they had a gun that could pierce your black wood, because your black wood knocked the bullets down out the air. Our kindness and our humanity said, oh, we can work with them. Hold it. Our ancestors on this very land that we live, this very land that we live, were very nice to them when they came here. Very nice. They don't get through the first winter if our folks don't help them. And we help educate those who help them. And what did they do for Thanksgiving? They say, thank you for giving me your country. Oh, you didn't think that happened, huh? You see, when the teacher says, arm the children with the truth, you arm them with the truth because the truth will set you free. I say to you, young black queens, as the sister said in the song, love yourself first. Because don't think you need somebody else to love you if you don't love you first. You say, why are you punching the black queens? Because you are the world, you are the universe. You are the power. African women rule. When I first became president, John, one of the first slogans we came up with, I said we're going to institute this. women rule. He said, why did African women rule? And it was actually, the Lord said, were you not all born through a woman? Ain't nobody here got here without coming through the woman.
Right.
Oh, and the Ma'at theory of things, anybody where the woman at on the Where the woman at? That's the woman at the top. Who won? Who won? Understand something. When we say through the UNIA-ACL Rehabilitating Committee, we are rehabilitating the race, we are rehabilitating the activities of our people, because in actuality, the mission of the Honorable Martin Messiah Bobby was to save us from our own self-destruction.
Right.
Why do you think they moved against him so bad? Let me tell you, it doesn't matter how you want to see it. It don't matter where you agree or disagree with me. Look around the world and see what you see.
Right.
Where we at?
Where we at?
Where we at? Oh, I know, really, we got LeBron James. Yeah, we got that. He built a school. How many schools did he build? A school. How many schools does Cleveland need to be black-centered? They need a school. Oh, I'm sorry, we got Magic Johnson. What did he do? You said he just picked on sports figures. No, I'm not. I'm picking on money. What? We got Beyonce. Do you need to be Beyonce? Wait a minute. What did Beyonce do for you? We love Oprah Winfrey. She built a school. A school. We had schools in the part of the black educational system all over the country. Yes, ma'am. Most of them gone. But you know what? The legacy is what's going to bring it back. Because that's the teaching. We don't give up, we get up. We don't stop, we run. And the reason we don't stop is because the minute you do, you're going to find something else to deter you from where you need to go. You see, my sister stood here with the poem, brought some tears in my eyes, speaking about the greatness that we have to exemplify. And that's talking about Adasi. As I sit next to my sister in sickness, the Mary Bolton, who is a dark eyed longer than me. Let me explain something to you. You see, you may not get it, but the one thing I know is I can learn from you.
Right.
And the other thing I know, the challenges that you face, I have to help you meet them. But I have to learn what you think you need in order to meet it.
Right.
And then I can add to that. Then I can help it grow. Because I've learned from you. You, the student, teach the teacher.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
You teach me. I'm sorry. Someone said, you put this phone in the child's hand at 3 or 4 years old, you don't know the message. I'm going to tell you, you put this phone in the child's hand at 3 or 4 years old, they can do more than I can do with this phone, and I ain't 3 or 4. It's their time. We have to use the tool at their time. We have to not only teach them to read, we have to teach them, if you want to search on here, search for knowledge of who you are. Search for who you are. Let your historical definition move you. Check out your family tree. One other thing I want to mention, and I know Single read behind me, I can feel it. But he knew he didn't give me enough time. And I love him too. Absolutely. But understand, Gullah Beach, South Carolina. That's where my daddy from. Yours too? There you go. There you go.
Great grandmother.
Great grandma?
Yeah.
Gullah Beach. That's right. You say, why you bring that up? It's the history. You gotta know your roots. Some people think, you'll see it. Somebody say you won't leave Philadelphia. Yeah, I was born there, I think. At least that's what they told me. But since I don't know, I have to go with that. So leaving Philadelphia, the only tie I got to Philadelphia is the fact that I can make a difference for some of those folks there. But coming to Baltimore, all I need is advice. And you gave me one today. You gave me one. Because race first. Race first. But understand, it's one African. I will put my work on the table and work with anybody that will work to move Africa forward, both on the continent of the United States of America, the continents of Africa, the continents of Europe, the continents of South America. I want to move Africans all over the world. Because I want one Africa. And I know when we eliminate those false governments on the continent of Africa, those misled other individuals, because they want to also suppress the youth of Africa, and we're going to challenge them to raise the youth up. When we make those changes, freedom will be ours. Thank you.
Yes, y'all know it's a whole lot more electricity here than what y'all heard. It's a whole lot more electricity. Brother Imhotep has some books with him. If you all want to make a free will contribution, please do before you leave. And we are closing out on time. We want to respect the facility. We want to respect and say, y'all, this is the Shaw Community Center. Meaning they work with young people. So wherever you go, remember, this house is a house that you should be bringing some good resources to. Whenever you go anywhere. So I wanted the PG to stand here while we close out, because I want to officially say, one God, one name, and one Africa. Africa, yeah. I like that. I like that. Africa is the destiny. So anyway, thank you all so much for coming out, and please, each one, greet one on the way. You know, Butu, be your brother and your sister's keeper. I am, because you are. Y'all meet our brother Imhotep, meet brother Moran, meet Baba Bosti, meet brother Robert. Don't just run out, go out together, because we came in together. Y'all hear that? All right, thank y'all so much. I see you, Yuri. I see you, Bill.
I was watching all morning, Senor. It was hard to leave. I was watching you all morning.
Oh,
Break away for questions.
Probably Emory Grove, like that historic kind of thing. Yeah, those connections with Burger Road. A lot of historic they put the courses converted to a lower resolution format because when they stream it to like a lower resolution. Okay. That's what happens.